Hi, I'm Felicity. I'm enrolled in the MBA Leadership, and I thought I'd just share a bit of my experience with you today. So I actually found out about MBA Leadership when I was working on a contract with CQUni itself. And before that, I hadn't really considered going back to study because all I could think of was that'll be one more diary that I have to line up, whether it's other people's schedules for group work or attending classes. But when I found out about MBA leadership, and I was like, ah, so I can do it at my own time and pace and fit it in wherever, regardless of what's in my diary, I was really quite motivated. And I thought, actually, I could do that. And it kind of suited because I'd come to a point where my children were getting to the later years of high school, and it sort of worked that they were studying, I was studying. And that's been a lovely side benefit of coming back to uni, has been swapping notes with my daughters and what did you get for your test that you did at school, and guess what I got for my assignment. And yeah, we've really had a great time like that. And yeah, just saying things like, hey, let's study for an hour and then let's have a hot chocolate together. So I've really been able to turn it into something that is family friendly and it's on my own terms. So this is definitely the right MBA for me, and it's really been the right time for me to get started. So before I started, my background's 20 years of marketing management in the not-for-profit sector. So this is kind of a pretty logical next step. And I was fortunate enough to be taken in the pilot group of 2018. And that was pretty cool. I was getting the train to work. I could convert that time. Things were going really well. I had mapped out in my mind when I would finish each of the different units and got off to a blistering pace. Anyway, my contract finished and I went on to a new job where I had to drive to work. And as sometimes happens with new jobs, it takes you a little while to get up to speed, and that can mean some late hours and some long weekend time. And I found that I was falling by the wayside a bit. I was so busy with work, I was distracted with it, and I wasn't getting stuff finished with my MBA. And I got to the end of 2019 and I could see Easter 2020, and I was thinking, I really need to have finished at least 4 units by Easter 2020, and I was really only 1.5 units in. And I was feeling a bit like something's got to give here. This is not really coming together. So I began thinking about summer school. And you know, I knew that people could pay $5,000 or $10,000 and you could go away for a week and do management intensives. And I had friends that had done that, and I was like, oh. And then I thought about my situation and I was like, I could pay $1,000 and go to, you know, a nice enough little motel at a seaside village. So if you're in Victoria, I went to Kilcunda, where I just set my own agenda. I had a week there at the end of holidays over Christmas. I would get up in the morning, I'd do a couple of hours of study, I'd go down and have a nice coffee, visit the local cafe, do a bit of work there, wander back, study for a while, go for a walk on the beach, study for a bit, took my bike, rode on the bike trail, and just generally broke up my 5 days with intensive study and some kind of leisure activities, which was really great for me. I really just enjoyed that connection back to nature. But more importantly, I smashed through a load of work and kind of got myself back on track, so that when I started 2020, I just felt so much more positive. I felt like I wasn't as overwhelmed. I felt like I'd got the rhythm of study. I felt like I knew what I was doing. It also coincided with late at the end of 2019, I bit the bullet and decided to go and see the Academic Learning Centre, ALC. Probably, if I was being truthful, it's a little bit of a pride thing. So I didn't like admitting that referencing wasn't coming easy for me. I didn't like admitting that I'm supposed to be in this MBA leadership, and yet this basic thing that first year students do just wasn't wasn't gelling in my mind. And, you know, there's heaps of resources online and people go, it's so easy, don't worry. And I was like, oh, I don't know, it's not working for me. Anyway, I went to see the Academic Learning Centre, invested in a bit of time with them, and that put me in a much better mental space. And in combination with just having a week of intensive that I organized myself, I got plenty of change out of $1,000 for that week. And I thought, well, compared to paying $5,000 or $10,000 and compared to what we've saved on doing this particular course, I still felt like I was well ahead. So then I powered into 2020, and then ISO came along, and ISO did free up my weekends a little bit more. So instead of the usual activities that I might have had, ISO meant that there's much more weekend time available to me. And as long as I planned out my weekend. So the other thing I realized that I needed to do was think in my mind, how many hours of study can I realistically get done this weekend? So setting a goal that was not, I'm going to do 16 hours, but was not, oh yeah, I'll get to it and I'll do this and that. So I would work out what I felt was fair based on what else was on, and then work to that. So I was like, okay, this weekend I can probably do 4 hours. This weekend that's just gone, I was like, actually, this weekend allows for 8 hours. And so I set in my mind, what does 8 hours look like? And I just would read that in the online where it tells you how many hours you've got left and where you would be in 8 hours by module. And I was like, okay, that's my goal. And if I did it in more or less than that amount of time, my goal was just to get through that amount of work. So that was what I had to learn as I went along. You start with a theory of how you're going to do stuff, which is often my experience. And then once you get into it, you work out how it actually works for you. And yeah, I think that once I started this year with a stronger mental disposition towards the study, I think I've actually traveled along a lot more efficiently and a lot faster. I think also this year getting involved in the Microsoft Teams has helped. So I don't feel like I'm on an island. I like chatting to people and getting tips and ideas, and also just enjoying giving other people my thoughts and ideas. So in terms of any advice, I would say if you're thinking about, is MBA Leadership the right course for you? I would say it really facilitates the work-life balance that I think a lot of us are desperate for. In my situation, I really was keen to make sure that as my girls finished high school, that I could be here for them, and that I also that I wasn't trading my career goals and my ambitions, and that I had that opportunity. I think that it facilitates you developing a time plan and a strategy that works for you. I find the content quite interesting. So I'm a marketer, and this weekend I've been getting my head into accounting, and I kind of enjoy that different discipline and kind of like, I don't mind the numbers. Well, I know I like the numbers. All marketers are data geeks now anyway. But yeah, it was quite, I was quite interested in that extra challenge of learning something new and different. So if you're thinking about that, get on the phone to people or talk to someone who's done it, because I don't think you can really go wrong with it. To my fellow students, all the best. Look forward to seeing you in Teams. Thanks, everyone. Bye.